Hello. Welcome to episode, I can't remember, three, four.
Three. Your show, Amy. 3.
Oh yeah, because I'm doing 3 and 4 together. Yes. So yeah, because this is a double episode.
Okay.
Instead of splitting them up. Okay, so welcome to episode 3 of the box set. I am your host, Amy. I am joined by Mo Capitans, Foxy, and Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Yeah. The lads have realised they're probably not going to be talking an awful lot during this podcast. They're more or less here just for moral support and to say, yeah, you're right, or God, no, you were totally wrong.
That's probably a good thing considering.
Today we're going to be discussing biker mice from Mars and street sharks. Now, the reason why we're doing 2 of them together is because there's not really an awful lot that you can flesh out into 2 full-blown episodes. Let's not lie. There's not enough episodes of these 2 shows to begin with. And secondly, this was actually just a nostalgia one because we were chatting about cartoons that we remembered. And I mentioned this one. And Foxy had a slight kind of memory of them. Now, his memory, I believe, was good. My memory was good of them. And Jonathan had never seen them before.
Indeed.
So Foxy is going in blind, okay, onto this one. He has not watched either shows since we mentioned it, and he hasn't watched them since the 90s. That's probably a good thing, Foxy. I did decide to rewatch an episode of Biker Mice from Mars, and it upset me greatly. And Jonathan watched an episode of Street Sharks and of Biker Mice from Mars, and I think our friendship is going to end after this podcast.
The box set had a really good run. I'm glad to see it ended at the 3rd episode.
Such an awkward number.
We quite literally jumped the shark on this one, lads. Like, fuck me.
You've been waiting to fucking blast that one out.
No, actually, I wasn't.
My God.
I wasn't.
You were waiting. You wanted to use that on Jaws 4.
No. Don't hang on. Do not think I planned these puns in advance. When my bitterness starts developing, I get the pun out of the way early, so then I can start giving out half an hour in. You have to understand my pattern here, right? I'm getting the jokes out of the way first before I start going to town on these motherfuckers.
Well. Oh my God, smoke on the ice. Well, look, we'll get to it in a second, all right? So that was really hazy. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go through Biker Mice from Mars first, all right? So I'm going to give you basically just the brief kind of history onto what they are, and I actually did do notes. I'm prepared today. So, Biker Mice from Mars. This was a science fiction animated series. This was back in the 90s. Now, this was it was actually a Canadian American splicey project, let's say, in the sense, and that was taken over on it. With the production wise, one of the executive producers actually on this one was Stan Lee. So Marvel thought that this had some legs. I'm just going to trot it out there now. Marvel thought that this was an all right idea, and when I say Marvel, I mean our Lord and Savior Stan Lee. If anything ever comes out about him, oh my God, yeah. So this, okay. So the premise of the show followed 3 mice who were bikers who lived on Mars, who end up actually living in a suburb of Chicago, just quite close actually to, is it Wrigley Field?
Wrigley Field.
Baseball
Wrigley
field. Wrigley Field. Yeah, Wrigley Field. Oh my God. On this sense here. So they, oh my God, I was so prepared for this and now I'm getting all flustered on it. I'm very disappointed in myself. Basically, they turn into kind of like superheroes in a sense for the city of Chicago. It's very much, think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, just worse. And that pains me to have to say that because I actually really like this show. So we have 3 protagonists of the whole thing. Okay, so you have Throttle, who was he was kind of like a tan brown colored. He wore sunglasses, had a quiff and a ponytail. He was rocking the greaser look. He was the most level-headed of the group. He was calculating, and he was probably the most rational. So when you look at the biker mice, they all have some sort of disfigurement or scarring to them. So the reason why Throttle had the sunglasses is he was actually blind. he lost his sight during the war in Mars. Yeah, I know they're all war heroes.
To be fair, they didn't mention that in the pilot, so yeah, that is
It's
actually
not
news to me.
mentioned. No, it's not mentioned at all. Like it's one of those things where you have to. It's you learn more about them.
Yeah.
That kind of comes into this. But the incident where Vinny or Throttle, sorry, loses his sight is the same incident where Mondo loses the right arm. So that's why he has like the mechanical arm.
Yeah.
And Vinny, the white mouse, he half his face is gone. So that's why he has the metal plate. So that's that's basically the injuries that they had while fighting the war, on Mars. On that one. So Throttle is actually voiced by Rob Paulson. Does that name ring a bell?
He comes up a lot in animated shows, doesn't he? A lot of American
He really
productions tend to come on.
does.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. He is Yakko, and
Yeah.
he is Pinky, and he is, what's the doctor's name? Otto.
Oh yeah, Dr. Otto, yeah.
Right, Otto on this one. He also actually, I mean, he's basically quite a well-known actually in this for a voice actor and stuff like this. He was also actually Raphael and Donatello actually as well for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So he is our leader, the tan one. So we have Don Mondo. He is the grey one who, as I said, he lost his arm. He also had a bionic eye. He's very he reminds me very much of Terminator. So when you think of Terminator injuries, it's basically what they gave to Mondo. He is the more kind of
he's the aggro one, really. He's the gruff one.
Exactly, yeah. He's the hot
bigger
head
one out of a lot of
of
them, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's just the bigger one out of them.
Exactly,
That's it,
And then you have, no worries. Then we have Vinny, who is our Wyford thrill seeker of the group, and he is the self-proclaimed lady killer among the three of them. Now, I don't want to get into Howard the Duck territory here. Okay, so let's just
leave that there.
The rat killer, yeah, exactly on this one. So as I said, so the right side of his face obviously is over his injury on this one. He is probably the most kind of, he's very Michelangelo-esque, if you will. He's very chilled out, like in a sense when he has to be.
He's a token cool character. Like he's the one where all the kids are supposed to like, oh, I want to be like him. I want to have a face full of metal.
I'll be honest with you here. He was the only one that I could distinguish as a wrestling fan.
Yeah, probably. I'd probably go along with that.
You know why? Oh no, you wouldn't know why actually, because you didn't make it past the first episode. His catchphrase of the show is "What a rush."
Oh, for fuck's sake! Really?
Yeah, legit. That's actually his catchphrase.
Oh, do you know what? He actually did drop down the first episode. I was thinking like, oh yeah, It just didn't click with me at the time because he said it like kind of off the cuff. So they didn't make it a catchphrase at the time. It was just a line in the script, and then obviously someone looking back just went, "That's good. Make that a thing. Market it."
I was like, it became hit. That actually became his catchphrase. So so Road Warrior Vinny, as I'm going to refer to him.
Does he sound like Hawk as well? Every time he gets back up, whoop.
There is actually a scene in the first episode which you did watch where he falls into the grease. He just kind of goes flying into the wall. What a rush! Yeah, he actually is so out of the three of them. He has the best weaponry. Out of the three of them, actually, like his bike is decked out with like every weapon that they could possibly need on this one. Actually. Yeah. So I can never pronounce this actor's surname. However, you will know him as soon as you see him. As soon as you hear him, you know who it is. Ian Zender. He was in Beverly Hills 90210, but he's also the protagonist of probably one of the greatest shark franchises in all of sci-fi history. Finn Shepard from Sharknado.
Oh, was
the fact that
Ian Ziering? Yes.
Thank you. I can never pronounce his the Z's, I and E. There's too many vowels. Yes. Puts me off altogether. But yeah. On this one. So we have then our supporting characters, which in this one, Charlene Davison, or Charlie Davison as she's known. She is she's the one who works in the mechanic. She's the female mechanic who basically shows them that they're the villain of the series has actually already landed in Chicago.
She's the April of the show, pretty much.
Exactly, she is, and she is also the target of Vinny's affection. It's it's not reciprocated at all. She's very much like.
I can't believe that
Very
this
much married to her fucking work.
This female woman is not interested in a giant alien mouse. Sorry, I know that's offensive to some people, with a metal fucking face. Somehow she's not attracted to that.
Stop disrespecting Mondo, okay? Don't disrespect Mondo like that.
I'm just saying.
It's a bloody war hero, okay? You leave him alone. You wouldn't go
I
to a guy
show no respect to our veterans.
Dancing, would you? You would not just go to a guy in a wheelchair and just start dancing around in front of him, would you? So our main villain of the show is Lawrence Limburger, who is voiced by W. Morgan Shepherd. Basically, these are the ones actually that started this whole war on this one. He's very Tano-esque, okay? They are they're aliens who have human-like qualities, but they like to eat worms. As maybe like some kids you used to go to play school with. Like realistically, these could have been those kids.
Everyone knows a kid who like played with worms in primary school, and everyone stayed away from them. So imagine them as a villain.
Lil.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes.
Well, if they're alive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Continuity.
Yes.
During the War of Liberation on Mars, Limburger was a low-ranking bully officer. He was taunted by all of his superiors. One of his superiors, who was actually voiced by Malcolm McDowell, on this sense here, and he is basically what his now whole thing is. They basically go to planets, they use up every single natural resource, and then they move on to the next planet, and then they destroy that planet. Basically what humans are doing anyway to the planet on this one. So the running joke anyway for the series in this entire thing is at the end of every episode the biker mice destroy his tower where he schemes from, and the running joke is he can no longer fund his deforestation of Earth, and he has to continuously rebuild his tower in time for the next episode. I can see Jonathan just fuming as I look at the fucking camera playing on this one. So the way this kind of series, this is kind of the way it kind of came about anyway on this one. So this was actually originally came through in 1993. Okay, it lasted for 3 series. Okay, it produced 65 episodes throughout its entire run, and it got a reboot actually in early 90s. In 2006 actually got a reboot. It wasn't the same cast type of thing. It was basically the exact same thing though, just better quality drawing in a sense here. One of the main kind of things about these shows that kind of came out in the early 90s and this, they were very easily marketable shows. Okay, so that's kind of, they were really where the kind of the cash grab to cash in on more successful shows. Exactly. So I'm going to be completely honest here. I had all these toys. I loved them. I'm the Disney generation anyway. Like, so in a way, like some people, like the Disney kids, if you probably ask someone who your first crush is, it'll always be, oh, I really had a thing for the Little Mermaid, or I really liked Prince Eric, sort of thing. Yeah. Like these are the kind of people that were kind of cashing in on these types of things. It's different to an extent, but it also has a familiarity as well with something that you already know. One of the good things about this is it's syndication wise, it makes it feel like it's around a lot longer than it actually was. So while it did only have 65 episodes, it was syndicated all across America and also on like RTE. This is where I would have found this one originally, was RTE 2. So I mean, that's kind of where it had its good thing, and then it would play for a year and then it would go off and then it would be brought back again. So it basically, that's kind of what kept it going, and that's what kept selling toys on it. On this one. So as I said, so Foxy didn't rewatch this one, and I'll be honest with you, it was a good thing that you didn't. Okay, I rewatched the first episode, and Jesus Christ, yeah. So it was just like easily entertained. That's what drew me into the whole thing. It's fun to watch like for 20 minutes of my day. So when I rewatched it, that was gone. It was gone altogether. So Fox didn't rewatch.
I didn't watch
So
anything.
what was your when you think that what's your memory of it though?
I just remember it being like, because obviously it was around the same time as the likes of Ninja Turtles and things of that nature, or like like Tiny Toon Adventures and fucking Pinky and the Brain, and a lot of the same like voice actors were in it. But yeah, it was just biker mice from Mars. Like you said, they're alien mice from Mars that ride motorcycles. And when you're like a 3 or 4-year-old, like that's like, hey, you're not gonna think that's cool.
Cool.
Like the presentation for
So-
it, like at the time, to my like the way I remember it, it's like that's actually cool. But I wouldn't say it aged very well though. Judging by like Amy going back and rewatching it, and then Johnson, who hasn't watched it, recently did, and instantly was like, "Why are we doing this?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Like,
actually admit, like straight away, the group chat was just like, I think Jonathan was just short of basically saying, "You fucking bitch."
I
Fuck
quit
you.
the channel. I'm going home. I'm going on my own. I'm gonna be a fucking beat poet. I'm going home and I'm taking the microphone with me.
I'm gonna form my own channel.
So-
So blackjack, and hookers.
Oh wait, I've already done that. Shit. That was my only idea.
So- I have a feeling Jonathan's gonna have the most to say regarding both these shows in from a new perspective of watching it.
Yes,
So,
a
Jonathan
new
watched-
and interesting perspective from it. Yes.
Not an appreciation, but there is this perspective there.
Oh well, no, that's not true. Actually, that's not true. I do have an appreciation of other cartoons now. I now appreciate good animation when I see it, because holy fucking shit balls. Sorry, Amy, I could have crossed you there because I couldn't resist. I couldn't.
Street Sharks as well.
I know. Of same rules apply. Same fucking rules apply, man. So, with the absence of rose-tinted glasses, with the absence of like having that kind of childlike wonderment of not when you're a child, you don't know if something's well made, right? You just see it and went, "That's awesome." You don't have this. The critical eye hasn't developed yet, and if you're a 5-year-old with critical eye, get that fixed, because you're not having a childhood, right? That's in the part when that part of the brain hasn't formed yet, and you're having fun regardless of what's happening. But holy shit. I don't understand how people could have even liked this as a child. Because if I watched this when I was then, I probably would have hated it again, all over again. Like I couldn't think of a time that I would have liked. Yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but I don't like that type of animation. I don't like I'm not a fan of like that really like cheapy kind of like dirty fucking American animation. And I think that is just a personal taste, because I'm used to like quite clean looking like Japanese animation. Like Pokemon is relatively clean, but like at least like not in the first season, as I'm learning from my own podcast. But in later seasons, they clean it up and they make it look quite nice and polished in that. But no,
a 5-year-old you were just discussing a few minutes ago.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, I get it. I'm doing a self critique there, but like I would never have liked that at all. And like, so it's already something that I wouldn't have taken to as a child anyway. But now watching it as an adult, I'm looking like, holy Christ, this is genuinely terrible. Like I can't find a redeeming factor at all in this. Like legitimately, I think the only thing I liked about it, or the only thing I thought was good or well made, was the logo. was the actual like opening, like actual the Biker Mice from Mars handlebars. That's the only thing I liked from it. Everything else I thought was atrocious.
Basically, the logo is basically done as if like a Harley Davidson motorcycle. It is actually quite cool. The logo is.
It's a very good logo for what it is. It's just a shame that's literally the only thing that's good about the show. Like, I'm sorry, but like I just found it really bad. Like I just found it bad in all segments. Like the dialogue ham-fisted, the animation really kind of like just like cheap. Is that the right word to use? I don't know. Nearly everything in the plot is a contrivance. It's literally just like it's like literally taking an episode of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not understanding why that was so good and popular and everyone loved it, and just trying to duplicate it. It genuinely did look like a TV executive had a budget for a cartoon show and just tried to copy the Ninja Turtles with different animals.
Literally,
and the same characters.
Sprites.
Yeah. Like, they're literally the same characters. As you said, like Minnie is literally Michelangelo. Charlie is literally April. She's more or less the same character, except she doesn't have a fucking camera. That's the only difference. I'm sure like at some point Charlie does have a camera. But like otherwise, like there's nothing in between these two shows. And the difference in quality. Like I could watch an episode of TMNT now and I'd probably still enjoy it, even though it was still never my thing back then. But I still enjoy it because there's actual quality in it. There's an actual like there's some sort of process to it. This is just really lazily made to me. Like it's a paint by numbers animation show, and so that's the stuff I really fucking hate because it's a soulish cash grab, and it's kind of obvious. Even from the first episode.
Sonic the Hedgehog was very similar to that as well in terms of animation.
Yeah.
Oh
God, yeah.
But totally. I fucking love that.
I think you love it because it's Sonic. There's a brand name to it. Like the Michael Mice from Mars is starting off from scratch.
Pink Panther, like it had a lot.
It's
like
the exact same animation wise. It is the exact same.
Yeah.
So
the thing about Pink Panther though as well, like that's very that's the thing is like the majority of these things, if it's marketable, it's gonna like they will make it.
Yeah.
Like the amount of Pink Panther shit that I had, which only afterwards I realized, oh, this is actually what it is. It's not an actual pink fucking panther. It's Inspector Clouseau. Like that's kind of like in those ones where you get onto it. So it's safe to say that Michael's gonna say Michael didn't enjoy it. It's safe to say that Jonathan didn't.
Yes, I hated it so much. I formed an alter ego called Michael, and boy, you don't want to hear what he says. Holy shit,
Michael. Sorry, Michael is actually a chap that I work with, and I discussed it with him. I was like, do you remember a TV show called Biker Mice from Mars? And he was like, oh my God, I fucking loved that show growing up. And I'm like, don't watch it again. He goes, why? And I'm like, you won't love it. So, like, but I think of the biker, like when I think of this as an actual TV show, the only three characters I actually remember is Throttle, Mondo, and Vinny. They're the only three. They are the main character, like the mice. They're the only things I actually genuinely remember now at this point. Because when I went back to watch it, the first episode today, when I actually went back to watch it, I was like, I actually have no memory of this whatsoever. I can't remember the whole reason as to why they ended up on Earth. I had no recollection of any of that. And then I realized, okay, this is just purely for me a nostalgia view. I really liked the mice. That was it. And I think nearly any TV show that would have had mice as the main characters who were fucking the size of humans, realistically, that should have scared the shit out of me that these things could have existed. But no, and didn't. I was like, oh, I really like these. Which is why I think the second show I wanted to talk about was also something that really spiked my interest. Because it had something that I really love. It had sharks in it.
Yes. Hooray.
This is another cash grab.
Definitely another cash grab.
That actually ran...
going to be like a 2-on-1 situation with this.
Yes.
Well, this is why we're doing, because I do have one other show that I want to discuss that I haven't told you about, but it's completely nothing like the two shows that we're already talking about. So I'm just going to spring that one on you in the end.
Nothing good,
and that literally is
bad.
This one should legit be complete nostalgia for us growing up
Okay.
in Ireland. Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
When we talk about Street Sharks, this was from 1994 to 1997. So we're looking at, it's near of the same kind of time, like near enough the same kind of time period in a sense there that it ran for the same amount of time. Less episodes on this one. We did the count on this one. What was it? It was 40 episodes for
50.
over three
Yeah,
seasons.
50 over three seasons, I think. Yeah.
40.
Was it 40? You're right. It is 40.
40.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
40 over 3 series on this one. And basically, The Street Sharks, again, was an American-Canadian animated series about adventures of crime-fighting half-man, half-sharks. It was originally part of the Amazing Adventures programming block. And again, the show promoted a line of action figures by Mattel, a line of action figures which I owned.
Good fucking Christ.
So the reason why this, so the reason why this one kind of jumped out at me as a kid was when I was 4, I saw Jaws for the first time. And that strikes 2 things in me. One was a lifelong fear of open water. It can be a river. It can be a fucking lake. We went to Blessington and we went canoeing, and we had to learn how to, if we got knocked out of the canoe, how to get back in while in the water. And I had a panic attack in Blessington over what was in the water. And to sit out the rest of the day, I got to go and do archery instead. It was great crack. So fear of open water and the unknown, but also a genuine interest in just sharks in general. Okay, so at that time, anything to do with sharks, I was interested in. It didn't matter what it was. I wanted to watch it, or I wanted to have something to do with it, which is why I had all these action figures. So this is a little bit different plot-wise. So this actually based around a family. So the Bolton family. So Robert Bolton is a university professor with his partner Luther Paladignum.
Paradigm, wasn't it?
A machine basically.
Dr. Luther Paradigm.
I didn't write down his fucking name.
Was Paradigm,
okay,
yeah. Because I looked at it and just went like, I looked at that and just went, yeah. I'm not gonna be honest, lads. If I go into a business with a guy called Dr. Paradigm, I'm going to die. That's
something's done. Yeah, there's dodginess afoot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they create a machine called the Beanstormer. It's a very technical term, I believe, for the scientific world, and it's capable of changing aquatic animals into basically Alan Morph. Okay,
yes,
that's
pretty much
right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hybrids, and it basically combines their DNA. I think whoever created this show first watched Jurassic Park, and I was like, I have an idea what they're doing with this frog DNA. Just hear me out, lads. That's actually what I think would happen, right? So in an attempt to basically prevent Luther from using the machine for his own personal powers, Dr. Bolton transforms into an unseen monstrosity but escapes. Okay. Later, Dr. Luther, he basically finds Bolton's 4 sons, which is John, Bobby, Coop, and Clint.
The most fucking 4 Republican children you'll ever find. Like, they are the most white meat human
Bobby,
beings.
Coop, and Clint.
Like, honestly, like, you expect to see them just beside fucking Donald Trump on the campaign trail. Like, fuck me.
Just for anyone there, repeat those names again.
John, Bobby, Coop, and Clint.
I know what you're trying to do.
Don't worry.
Say it 3 times while drunk, and let's see what happens. John, Bobby, Booby, Club, and Cunt.
So the likeliness, so basically the lads get changed into 4 different species of shark. Okay.
Yes.
He captures one of their friends, which is Ben's, resulting in the street sharks rescuing him, and the resulting battle has Luther combined with a piranha. So he's also his nickname in the show is Dr. Paranoid. So instead of Dr. Paranoid or Parana, it's Paranoid. Paranoid. So it's basically what this dude ends up doing. How he kind of gets like the other villains and kind of forms his posse is he basically slices everybody with aquatic DNA for variant different animals and stuff like that. So there is like a few actual hybrids that are in this. There's one that I remembered. Moby Lick, who was a orca, not a white whale. He was an orca, and they also had an action figure for him, and his tongue like was really long, and he literally used to like if you pull back like the fin, the tongue would twist and stuff like that.
We're so happy describing this. It's not. I can't even be angry at this point. The childlike wonderment at describing.
It's now that I'm 30. It's now that I'm nearly 31 years of age. I'm like,
You're just
oh my god, I have
describing.
an excellent new idea what that toy could be used.
Well, didn't one of the characters actually have like rollerblades as well?
Yeah.
Yes, we will get to him. Yes, don't worry. So you had these were the few that actually sided with the Street Sharks on this one against like the city that wanted to destroy them in a sense. So it was Rox, Moby Lick, Manta Man, and El Sordo. So you can kind of guess as to what they were all spiced with. There was a spin-off series from Street Sharks. It was Extreme Dinosaurs. So you can kind of guess what these were. They were actually, well, you won't actually because they weren't slicey with the dino DNA. They were actually extraterrestrial dinosaurs.
Okay.
That had their rivals were basically a gang of velociraptors.
Okay.
Jonathan's like, if you fucking make me watch this, I am.
I fucking not. I have far too much.
I didn't. I'll be honest. I didn't watch that one then myself. I wasn't into. I didn't have the dinosaur gene in me at that point. But yeah, so that's basically kind of what was going on in the show. Okay, so the Bolton family, which was the brothers on this one, we'll kind of go through them. You've got John Bolton. He was the smartest, the leader, and the oldest of four brothers. He enjoyed creating inventions, so he's very much taken up like his dad. He'd taken up most of the knowledge and skills from his father. He was an avid pool player. In the first episode, he rides a motorbike. When he transformed, he is basically he's transformed into the great white shark. And he's able to steal, and he has extra sensory abilities, which is technically what a great white shark also actually has. His name, when he changed, was Ripster. So this was color-wise, they didn't really kind of stick to the same color theme as. God damn you, internet connection! Is it back?
Yeah, you're still here. You're still here.
Still there.
Okay, grand. So color-wise, they didn't have the color scheme correct for these sharks. That kind of actually bugs me a little bit now when I look back on it. But yeah, so he was the great white shark. Clint Bolton, he is the laziest of the brothers and the sharks in in general. He was an avid boxer, and he also had talent as a mechanic. When he was transformed, he became Jab. Jab was a scalloped hammerhead shark. And he basically was able to use his head to batting ram. So he didn't have his fists anymore, but he was able to he used his head. He had talent. Robert or Bobby Bolton Jr.
Bobby. God damn it, Bobby. Bobby, why'd you turn into a shark? God damn it.
Bobby Bolton Jr. He was the level-headed one. He was the cool and self-proclaimed ladies' man. He was the one who always had his rollerblades. This is the one that you remembered, Foxy.
Yeah, the total cool guy.
He's the one that they kind of had him out to be the extreme sports favoritism one on this one. Like he enjoyed parachuting, he did snowboarding, and all that kind of stuff. And he also became a professional drums player. That was later on. Streaks was his name when he became a shark, and he was a tiger shark. It's both the hell out of me because again the color scheme is completely wrong. He actually had purple. On his streaks were actually done purple, so they basically tried to differentiate the sharks as best they could. Whereas realistically, the color scheme will all been the same no matter what shark you're turned into. The color schemes are all quite the same. So there is like they do it differently. He in the toy version of him, he actually has got the rollerblades as well. They're constantly on him, which I really liked. Rollerblade and fucking shark, for Christ's sakes. Talk about jumping the shark. Like Coop was the strongest and the youngest of the four brothers. He was also a football player in high school. He is the skateboarder of the group. So they do kind of have, like, realistically, skateboarding and rollerblading at this time would have been the extreme sports of the 90s sort of thing. So I mean, they were popular. So it's not unusual to have this many characters based on this thing. He was transformed into Big Shamu. He was basically the whale shark of the group. He was the most prominent, and he was basically realistically speaking, a whale shark is the largest kind of species of the shark. So his kind of strength in this sense here, he was literally able to like create an earthquake sort of thing. Like he could make the ground shake and crack basically by just slamming down his fists. You have the dad. He was the university professor. He secretly assists the kids in what's going on. He can't change them back in a sense there. So while he's trying to figure shit out, they also have to keep them hidden because they are wanted by the police. Realistically, I'd imagine they were wanted by the government to try and do more experiments on them. But there you go.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, that's basically the characters that we have on this one. I honest to God, like I think the only reason why I was really into this was purely because they were fucking sharks. Like, so there's a few allies that are in this one. So you had Ben's, he's basically the comic relief aspect on this one. He kind of he makes sure he keeps them up with all their weapons and shit. He is human and he will stay human. He's a tech genius and all that one. Jets Taylor, who was changed, who was Moblick, who became the killer whale. He was originally changed to be an enemy of them, but he was able to kind of change, and he ends up kind of becoming an aid for them.
Reformed.
Rocks, exactly. Well, he was never really bad to begin with. Like, he was created, but he just ended up being just good.
I feel a Mewtwo reference coming up.
Melvin. Rocks even, sorry, this is Melvin. He was an up-and-coming musician, and this is where the drummer kind of aspect comes in. He was mistakenly combined with a bull shark, but he's still able. Yeah, no, he's actually able to continue with his career by basically saying to everyone, "Oh, it's a costume." Like, I'm not actually a bull shark. This is just a very elaborate costume that I have.
Decent cover. Sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, he lives out of water. Like, they can breed on land. He actually was dropped after series 2. They got rid of the character altogether. He did actually have a toy line. He did have a toy in it, except he wasn't a bull shark in the toy. So he was a bull shark in the TV show, but on a toy he was actually a mako shark, which is very, very similar to the great white. So I don't know why they changed that one altogether. You had the El Sordo. He was a circus performer who ended up being combined with a large marlin. Yes, it was actually a marlin that he was combined with his pet marlin, Spike. They're similar to swordfishes. They do have a long thing, but they're not. When did I become Matt Hooper? Oceanic. But yeah, so that was kind of like that's basically like the main kind of things that we have on it. And then you've got Manta Man, who was a flying dinosaur-like alien specimen who was found encased in stone. And then he was basically reactivated, gene slammed again with a manta ray. So, I mean, he was already a fucking alien. I don't think they really needed to start DNA splicing with him, but they did it anyway, because why the fuck not? We're doing it to everybody else.
You get spliced. Get spliced. Everybody gets spliced.
Everybody gets a splice. So the thing about this one, though, was really funny, though, is because there's an episode of the Mighty Boosh, where they actually do this exact same thing. The entire concept, the Mighty Boosh. The Mighty Boosh.
Mighty Boosh.
There's actually an episode of the Mighty Boosh in series 1 where they have it's not Fosse who's doing it, Fosse even, but it's like, oh, what's the name of the explorer? But anyway, they end up like splicing all the animals together with like their zookeepers. So I'm like, I remember watching that episode of the Mighty Boosh and thinking, I've seen this before, but I couldn't figure out where I've seen it before. And then I remembered it's the entire premises of Street Shark. So I know Noel Fielding was a fan.
Yes. Well, it's such a tried and tested concept. No wonder the Mighty Boosh used this, you know?
Yeah. But like every single character that kind of gets introduced into this, basically they all end up getting spliced with something. So you've got swordfish, manta ray, squid, a shrimp, which is probably my favorite thing ever. Why would you ever splice someone with a fucking shrimp?
If you hate them. Yeah, if you hate them, yeah.
And then
one of my calamari, maybe.
I think actually then one of my favorite ones, just purely because of like what it is. Maximilian Greco, who was an agent mafioso who had actually blackmailed the Dr. Luther into gene slamming him with a rhinoceros. And also with the DNA of a desert tortoise. Because this dude was thinking straight, okay? So he was able to gain the strength of a rhino and the longevity of a fucking desert tortoise.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, which basically rejuvenated him to half his real age. And then he was like, right, I can literally just start over all over again. And just, okay, granted, he looks a bit weird, but I mean, it was the 90s. Who didn't have something wrong with them at that point?
It was extreme.
It was awesome and very marketable.
To the max.
Max Extreme. Rhino tortoises. That's what the people want.
They did not get that. The people did not get that. He was literally in a couple of episodes and he went off to Vegas. He went off to Vegas and, well, his character arc was finished. They only needed him for one episode, like, to be fair. That was it. So everyone was spicy. So everyone was like ripper on the DNA and just living large to the fullest. But yeah, so the reason why I was kind of into this was sharks. That's pretty much it. That was the only reason why I was into this TV show as a kid, now that I think about it. Huh.
And
I thought I would have had more of an epiphany.
And
to be fair, actually,
you're on your own on this one.
Yes.
Hold on a second. I'm going to stop here. At no point whatsoever did I actually say to you, watch an episode.
Well, I was hardly not going to just pop up on a podcast without any form of source material to go by. It would be a bit daft if I just sat here and just went, yes, no, I've heard of him.
You legit could have just listened to me explain it. You legit could have just listened to me explain it, and you could have then just ripped it apart there and then.
I could have. Quite right. If anything, I'd like to on myself.
Exactly.
You would have saved yourself some agony.
Yes.
You would have saved yourself 43 minutes of your life that you're never going to get back.
That's true.
Yeah, so I will actually point this out. So after I watched an episode of Biker Mice from Mars, I declined to watch an episode of Street Sharks because I was like, no, I actually do remember enjoying this purely because they were sharks on land. And I'm really sure actually it led to a really, really obscure fear that I had for at least 7.5 months.
For land sharks.
Yeah, pretty
sharks
much.
could somehow evolve to wear rollerblades and hone around town, forming their own street gang, and perhaps somehow, as a contrivance, having this sort of West Side Story malarkey, or perhaps like the Warriors, but with sharks.
Warriors.
Mad to play. I will actually point this out. Okay, I will actually kind of point this out at this point, like. At the age of 4, I thought Jaws would get me in the bath. So yeah, to be honest, I probably did truly believe that land sharks.
Yeah, no, that is fair. Yeah, like that's a decent defense.
I was doing swimming lessons in school, and it was things I don't know why, but I was really good from the deep end doing lengths of the pool. One of the instructors like, you're really fast. Like, you've actually got really good speed. And I couldn't tell her it's because I thought they were going to release the shark to come up unless I got out of the water in time.
Do you know what? It's actually best if you didn't say anything, really.
He's
just
not doing
take the
well
credit.
enough. Release the shark. Boom.
That'll teach these kids to fucking swim.
Do you know what? But it's really funny though, as well, because like I've spoken to like some other people about this, like it's the weird irrational fear that there was like a shark in the pool. I remember a few other people like, I have that fear too. Like it was one of those like really stupid, obscene things. Just one thing on television, and your child's like imagination is like, oh my god, they're gonna release a shark in the swimming pool.
It's just an incorrect infantile fucking like assumption of like, well, if it's on TV, it must happen this way. That's the only way it could possibly happen. It's just making that weird like meta connection. It's like, all water must contain
sharks. Learn from TV, so you believed everything that came out of TV.
True.
I'm 30 and I still believe everything that I read on the internet. So
that's your first mistake.
Yes.
No, I fully believe that. Like, I think, like, I'll always know that there was never a shark in my bath, but it's still, I used to always have like a mental thing in my head of been like, oh shit, what's going to happen as soon as I get into the water here? It's one of those things like something is going to grab me.
I don't know why, but for some reason I just got the mental picture of like Amy in the bath, and as soon as she puts her head like into the water, like a fucking fin comes out at the end of the bath, just like
that.
And as she peeks up, it's gone. What?
The Freddy Krueger like fucking glove.
Well, now we know what prank to pull on Amy next.
No. That was when that would have been like when I was between like the ages of 4 to 7. That would have been like an on-off thought in my head. That's something that thing. But then instead of me fully growing out of that, it literally just graduated to, okay, in closed water you're fine. So I can get into a swimming pool and I can like and I won't have a bother with it. As soon as I'm in like an area where it's open water. Like a man-made lake to me is still open water. I don't know what's in it, and if something touches the leg, I will have it. I will freak the fuck. Like, so instead, it's not like I grew out of the fear, but the fear evolved into something that's actually a legitimate thing. If you get me. So like, it's more like instead of being, oh, you're scared of what's in the water. It's like, no. I'm scared of the unknown. Like, do you ever see those videos that like surfers, and they're in the wave and everything, and you're like, oh my god, and then you just see the shadow that's actually in the wave with them. I'm like, how do people do that? How do you get into it not realizing that that's in there with you? Like, that freaks me the fuck out.
It's all part of the fun. It's the fun of it, of not getting eaten by a shark.
The thrill of the wave.
Yes.
No.
They're looking for that big kahuna wave.
Yes, exactly.
Drowned. What if it crashes on you? Like, that shit's gonna be right down. Like, I can swim, but like, I don't ever want to have to be in a situation where I have to.
I want to be able to tactically deploy it at certain points of my life.
If ever, like, look at it this way, right? If I'm ever plane crash, I'm kind of like half and half. I'm like, oh, do I want it to actually crash into water? Because then I have to swim, and then I don't know what's in the water as well. So I'm like, well, I'd probably die anyway. So like which would I prefer, fiery death or I'm just
you're
gonna
weighing
drown
your
myself
options
now,
there.
guys, because I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
Oh, do I want to drown
pressure.
or do I want to go up in flames? Ooh. That would hopefully what will be the thing that will actually kill me is the pressure. Whole thing. Be the air stewardess that survives. I'm like, I just want to kill this one now because she's part of everything. Like, that'd be me.
I have to say, I do like how this conversation on Street Sharks has devolved into which way Amy would rather like to die. Because truthfully, I felt the same way watching Street Sharks myself, you know?
For one, I'm glad that I have not watched it.
Like, generally, the only thing that I was able to debate between these two shows is which one was worse. And I still can't decide which one is the worst, you know? Like, I hate...
would probably go with Mice from Mars, to be fair.
Probably. Like, okay, with the Street Sharks thing, it's very, very obvious that they're just trying to sell toys. And in a way, I'm willing to give it a bit of a free pass. It's like, oh, let's just watch the Barbie cartoon. Well, okay, that's fine. I know what it's trying to do. With the Sharks thing, it's very obvious they're just selling toys. Hence why, in a way, in a way, when I was watching it, I suppose if I watched more episodes of it and realized that they were kind of introducing a villain every week, and obviously that villain also has a Mattel toy to go with it, I probably realized that this show, as do many shows from the States at the time, have an intense jealousy of Pokemon. Because Pokemon did pretty much the exact same thing. We're like, here's this week's episode. This one features a Clefairy, and the plush doll is available to order from Smith's online right as it goes.
I will
And
actually,
every
say
episode
this.
is like that.
Street Sharks. I will actually say Street Sharks only ever had 5.
They've only had 5
for Sharks. They only actually had 5 actual toys. Where like wasn't like a mass production of toy stores. They only ever released the 5 technically main characters.
I wonder, is that because like the show didn't really do that well? Like if it was well received in the first season, then you could have made the argument.
3 years. It still ran for 3 years.
Yeah, maybe. But even then, like
it's kind of like the think of the Batman effect, like the way they have your main characters, and then you have don't you do it,
like the Riddler and the Penguin. Yeah, I get that.
No, I don't mean that. Sorry, I don't mean that. You have like Batman and Robin, you have Alfred, let's see.
Yeah.
And then it's Batman, and then so that's what this did. This wasn't an add-on of characters. It was accessories for your characters.
I see.
That's where their actual toy line was. So the thing with this one is you have 4 main characters, which like if you actually look, if you Google what the toy looked like, they were actually quite well made toys. Like Mattel are well made toys in this sense here, right? They were quite durable in what they did, what you could do with them. Every time you move the if I'm going to like I'll go with fucking Ripster on this one. Pulled back when you pulled back the back fin, the jaw would open and close. So obviously the one that could do the metal would open and close sort of thing. Who was the scalloped hammerhead shark, and you moved, I think, squeeze his legs together, he'd hammer the head sort of thing. Like, so they actually like did what they were supposed to do as what their characters could do and stuff like that. And then accessory wise that would go with them, I'm nearly sure that there was like a base thing that you could have got, but these are quite big. Like, I'm not talking about like an act like that, a TY Navy, right? You've seen them before. That would have been the size of one of the sharks. You can imagine how big the accessories and the labs and layers have to be to go with a toy of that size.
Yeah.
That's sturdy, hard, and actually quite durable, which, when was thrown, could do some serious damage to the person, not to the actual toy itself. So I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that this was a cash grab as much as Mice from Mars would have been. I actually think that legitimately they wanted to do something different. Because bearing in mind, there was a spin-off series which was Extreme Dinosaurs from this as well. I didn't watch that. So I think this one fit in a bit more in the Canadian aspect of what they were. So as I said, this started off as part of the Amazing Adventure programming block. So there was an awful lot of TV shows that would have this type of, not story to it, but it was very different kind of characters that you have. So you have, these are your Street Sharks, these are your Extreme Dinosaurs. Biker Mice from Mars would not have been in this block. It was a different production company that did this one. So this is kind of the way they went. So if we were to look at American television programming as opposed to what the Canadian television programming was, there is actually a difference. This one, as sad as it is to say, there was, now okay, you only watched one episode of it. With Street Sharks, as it went on, there was a tiny bit of, we're trying to educate as well with this one. So each animal that they use for this one, they had a shitload of facts to go with what this animal could actually do, if you get me. So, okay, I'm watching.
It's considered educational as opposed to just an ordinary like cash grab kind of like cartoon.
You wouldn't even say that it wouldn't even like it wasn't like marketed as, oh, this is an educational thing. But they truly
it was unintentionally like Educational.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So like, I mean, I learned an awful lot about sharks from this because of how they described them, of what they could do, and they used like, it was like, oh well, this is this, it has the speed, it can go from 60 miles per hour, like this is the strength that they have, there's no like this, like they would explain as to why they were using this particular aquamarine
Yeah.
mammal, like
Yeah.
as to why they were doing it, and like it builds an interest in it, sort of thing, where you don't realize what you're in, your interest you're building is not actually in watching this TV show. In the back of your mind, you now have an interest in shit. I kind of want to learn a little bit more on manta rays, or like moray eels and stuff like that. Like it when I watched it, like this interests me in going to aquariums a lot more than I
Yeah.
actually would have. Because like even now, if I have a chance to go to an aquarium that has a particular type of animal in it, I'm like, oh my god, I remember watching, like, oh, like something will remind me of this. It's like
Yeah.
SpongeBob. SpongeBob is a great one for it when you look back at it now. So the reason why SpongeBob was actually created is because Tom Kenny, they wanted, not Tom Kenny even, sorry. The reason why that was actually created is because he wanted to educate people on stop fucking up our oceans.
Yeah.
And he was like a marine biologist, like realistically, like that's what he had studied and stuff like that. So his whole point of setting up, creating this, was to educate people without realizing they were being educated. This is also what this kind of show did do. It was an adventure crime fighting show, but without realizing that they actually did educate with regards to marine life without realizing it.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't.
That's the vibe I kind of got from the show as well, because it was very like obvious about like, oh, the world this thing is set in is very, very polluted, and in a way like that was obviously the setting for it, and I suppose it's kind of suitable for the time that everything was kind of grungy and dirty anyway. It was just kind of a theme of those kind of shows back then. And the thing about it was, with the educational standpoint, I think that's probably down to the Canadian aspect of it, because I do know for sure that Canada was mad for educational cartoons. And I believe, I could be mistaken, but I think they were entitled to grants by the government if they were making their cartoons educational in some way. So that probably explains why the Street Sharks kind of had a bit more of just a bit stuff going for it, because they could basically argue that they were being educational in certain points, essentially smuggling in fun facts about sea life and then presenting the cartoon that way. So they're playing both sides, whereas like, okay, we can stand by and say this is an educational show to the government, but also we're still making the show that we like and potentially selling toys out of it. So it was kind of like a win-win for the animation company.
Yes. In that sense, yeah. You do have a win-win on it.
Yeah. So in that sense, if we're losing that logic, then like, okay, perhaps my stance has softened a little bit on Street Sharks, but I still think it's an atrociously made show.
The thing with these two shows, in my view, is they're very much a product of their time.
Yes, that's true.
It wouldn't. Yeah, so like I know for a fact I cannot, like I won't be able to sit Noah down and get him to watch either of these shows at all. Well, he'd watch, I guarantee I could sit him down and he'd watch Extreme Dinosaurs without a doubt. He would sit down, he would watch that because he's interested in dinosaurs. That is the flavor of the fucking year at the moment. Dinosaurs and Batman are like the fucking, like they are the shit to him at the moment. So like he would sit there and he would watch it. He wouldn't question why are they doing this sort of thing. He's just, I want to see this because it has dinosaurs in it, and that's the only that's the massive selling point with him. The reason why this actually did sell as well as it is because sharks would have been a selling point at that time.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, as they often always are. Anyway.
Selling. Like jokingly, I use Shark Week in my everyday life sort of thing. Like it's something. It's one of those things. It's like it sticks with you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say why I use that. That's
you use your imagination, kids.
That's a bonus feature for miscellaneous. Yeah, but like. It's very useful. But yeah, it's like, that's the thing. It's something that like everyone has an interest. Like I don't know if it's kind of like a weird kind of trope that I think a lot of people seem to have. It's like it's especially when like, oh, sharks have been spotted in certain places, or there was a shark attack in certain places. Those will make headlines for quite a while because people are very interested in it. And it's either a morbid curiosity as to why they want to see what the shark has done, sort of thing, or it's a legitimate fear that you'd have been like, okay, I'm never going to this place ever. Or I'm never going to go swimming here because of this type of situation that you can go into. It's, I think, one of those things. It's like, if you're going into a fucking if you're going in, you're going to be basically like given like the pilot as what you think this could be. Okay, so imagine these four boys. Okay, their dad's a professor at a university, and they actually get transformed into half human, half sharks. Like, you can imagine there is someone sitting there and just been like,
I'm listening.
I think I was like, I'm slightly intrigued by this because my kids would be intrigued by this sort of thing. Like, I mean, that's kind of like the basis where you're going for it, because everyone goes through the shark phase. Some people grow out of it and some people don't.
Isn't that how most TV executives behave? Is that like, oh, some of them may have kids, so you'll pitch to the one that has a kid, and if they think that their kid's going to like it, they more or less just like pump $100 million into it. Like, they are very like insular type like people.
The whole point, like, I mean, it's the whole reason of what they do those fucking group census type situations of like, what did you like about the show, what didn't you like about the show, sort of thing. It's like the target audience in that sense there. It's like, well, our target audience here is the, let's say, 7 to 10 age group sort of thing, like this. And like a 7 to 10 age group, yeah, you will sit and watch this. You won't really take in what's going on, but chances are by the end of it, if you're like sitting in your classroom and like a topic comes up of sea life or sea animals, you're going to actually know, oh, I know this. I know what the answer is. It's like
I've seen in that cartoon the other day.
Yes.
It's not even that. It's like, it's one of those things. Also, when you go to the zoo and like your parent will read, like if mom or dad or you even like, oh, you read the fact that's sitting on a fucking plaque, that's the thing that will stick with. It's the only thing that's there, but that will be the thing that will stick by with you as well. Like, yeah, I actually do this one. Exactly. It's a brain worm. It works.
So in that sense, like, so yeah, because like well, that's kind of one approach of this show is kind of like seeing how the two of them kind of almost kind of hold up nowadays, but also the fact that like which one was kind of like really kind of worth it in a sense, and like in that way you could argue that there is an actual use for shows like Street Sharks, but for me, like I kind of said this earlier on, I find absolutely no redeeming quality at all in Biker Mice from Mars. Like, you could legitimately delete it from history and no one will miss it. Like, truthfully. I
still have the main characters in my heart. That's fine.
Like,
but they're the same characters you find in every cartoon.
Mice from Mars.
Yeah.
Like, to be like, realistically, that's all I wanted was the mice on their bikes. That's all I wanted out of that entire thing, and I got that for years. And then I ended up giving them away to my cousins, and I don't know whatever happened to them. I'm right. That's what like kills me the most. Is I actually gave away all those toys to my younger cousins.
Because one of the great sign off of this podcast, if you somehow get those like toys back before the next episode, that'll be a beautiful story.
I'm not gonna lie, I've actually been looking to get toys for them, but the only ones that I can find are like really fucking expensive. I'm like, I don't want one that's in the box. I'm gonna take it out of the box and I'm gonna put my Seth Rollins action figure on one of the motorbikes, like, and then just have the Vinny holding the WWE title. Like, that's actually like what I want to do. I want to have that match.
That's fancy booking gone too far,
like, in this
Exhibit A of the adult that's supposed to be in the room.
Yes, Exhibit A of a 30-year-old woman playing with toys and dolls and talking about sharks.
But not in the way you think.
Not in the way you think, because in fact there's quite a lot to do with sharks, as we know from the award-winning educational show Street Sharks that you can watch now on the Canadian network.
Amy got the other.
Well done. You played yourself.
Oh, we broke Amy.
Good. That's what she gets for having me to fucking watch one episode of this goddamn show.
You didn't have
Never
to.
asked you to watch it. Never
Doesn't-
asked you to watch it.
If I'm
You
going to do a
decided to
podcast
do
about
that
something,
yourself.
I'm going to fucking watch it so I can get some semblance of knowledge about it. It's
That's
called being
your
professional.
fault, not mine. That's your fault, not mine.
Right, fine. I'll allow it.
Thank you. Now,
Right.
now that we've done the shit on this one, see, this is a curious thing. So I wanted, this was just pure nostalgia. This episode in this sense here, and Jerry actually reminded me of something that was perfect nostalgia. When I think back to, it just brings back pure heartbreak and terrifying memories. Yeah, I would watch this show every single time it was on. All right.
Okay.
It was always on Network 2. It's actually still on RT. I think it's RT1 actually will show it every morning at 6:05.
Okay.
Still. And was The Animals of Farding Wood.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we have the podcast there?
I have one question on you with regards to this, or well, two technically.
Right.
First off, did you ever actually watch it?
Oh, I've definitely watched it, but I know for certain my child mind has blocked out the memories of it for my own well-being. Like I know I would have watched it at some point.
Now, hold on a second. Now, you say for your own well-being, okay?
Yes.
Is that because you're like, it was one of the shittest things I've ever seen, or was it because that was probably one of the most traumatic things that I've ever been in my childhood?
No.
Child allowed to watch? Okay.
Trauma, pure trauma.
Grant.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was very dark.
Good.
Yes.
Right.
Like it was actually baffling, how they allowed it.
I just want to check something here. The Animals of Farding, was that an Irish thing or in English?
It's English.
English.
It was a pair up with Watership Down. The movie
Brits.
Watership
All right.
Down.
The fucking Brits are at it. Oh, it was a British-French animated series. Yeah. All right. So this was from 1992 until 1995. Right. This ran for 3 seasons, guys. It wasn't Watership Down. The Animals of Farding Wood was its own book series.
What was it separate? Oh, right. Okay. Fine. I always associate those two. So yeah, fair enough.
Well, I'm not fucking surprised. I think it's because they're both the most traumatic things that you'll ever actually have in your childhood, right? If you have never seen The Animals of Farding Wood, okay, this is technically a warning. You're not ready for it. Okay?
Your 2020 mind would not fucking handle it.
Yeah.
I'm 30, okay? And I still legit get generally upset when I think of certain characters in this fucking show, okay? When we were in school...
Badger, yeah. That's what to say.
There you go.
Over the hedgehogs. Let's see.
It's not even that, okay? It's Mole. It's Mole and Badger, okay?
Yeah.
And that is like the most adorable thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. But his shrill voice was so fucking annoying that you're like, oh my God, why couldn't I throw over you? And then when Badger dies and Molly is like, Fox, why won't he get up? I'm like, oh my God, why doesn't he get up? Honest to God, right? If you paired this and The Animals of fucking Farding Wood, it is honestly probably one of the most like horrifically things that will ever like come into your life. So when we were in school, we had to watch Watership Down. I don't know why. I actually don't know. Okay.
That teacher gets sacked for traumatizing a group of children.
She was a religion teacher, and this was in secondary
school. Of course
school.
she was. Fucking
right.
Religion teachers.
Now this was in secondary school. Okay, so it got to a point where we actually ran out of shit to do. Right, and it was the end of the year, so she decided, have you ever seen Watership Down? No. She goes, it's a cartoon, just want to watch it. Yeah, why not? Now, granted, it had us sucked in, and we were watching it, and we were kind of like, Jesus, shit's getting a little bit fucking, and it got really ropey. I'm not gonna lie, okay? I will never be able to listen to Bright Eyes. Ever.
Yeah, Phil Collins is ruined for a lot of people in that generation.
Not Phil Collins. Art Garfunkel.
Oh, you're right. Yes, you're right. I always get them two mixed up for some reason.
right? Honest to God, okay? So it got me thinking. I remember actually when we were watching Watership down in school, it was as if I had like a fucking repressed memory just come shooting through. And then I still remembered the animals of Farthing Wood. And it was one of those things where it's like, oh my God, I remember that too. And it's just one of those things where it's like, everyone seems to remember it, but it's never situations, why were we allowed to watch this?
What happens is we've all watched it, right? We don't remember it on a daily basis, but once someone brings it up, suddenly like a locked chest opens up in your mind, and so you just remember everything all in one flash.
It's the theme. I will forever remember this theme song. It was so upbeat, and as if like, oh, everything's going to be fine. This is going to be fine. No, it
wasn't fine.
Everything goes to hell. Everything is shit.
They lied to us.
Okay, everything just wrong.
But everything dies.
This the thing is, right? So this is actually but this is actually an interesting enough thing that when you look at it, okay, because when you look at the Animals of Farthing Wood, this was broadcasted in most European places. Obviously, it was a British European or British French kind of production in a sense there. It was shown in Germany, Italy, France, Sweden, Norway, Brazil, Spain, and Japan.
They must have been fascinated by that in Japan.
I hated the weasels.
Got some serious fucking. Oh, there was also a US version of it as well, and the fucking Karate Kid voiced the fox.
And I guarantee you, no one died in the American version.
Oh, I'd say guarantee they probably did.
Everyone lives happily ever after.
I say they did die in the American version. The only difference wasn't a truck; it was just a fucking hunter and was out left, right, and center. The animals, no, man. Those hares, no, they made it across the road, but now it's my fucking scarf. But like, yeah, like this is honest to God. It's like, but then like when you look at what the actual story to was this, it was basically down to deforestation. Humans were destroying the woodlands, like their homes and stuff like that. But then when you actually think about it, these animals also had their own little storylines as well, because you had the red fox and the blue fox, were technically grey foxes, really. They should have been. But that was like, they had their own little inward battle. And I remember every left, right, and centre, like one of the head foxes was about to die. I'm nearly sure at one point the main grey fox was killed, and then they were Vixen was trying to like convince the other that fucking entire set to come with us or you will die here, sort of thing. And I'm like, this is getting a bit heavy for my 5-year-old brain to kind of really comprehend here. And oh my God, I remember just cry. I think it got to a point where my mom and dad are like, you're not allowed to watch it anymore because you constantly cry. Which, I mean, again, still now, I found it one morning when I woke up, I couldn't sleep, and I like literally went downstairs and started watching TV, and I was like, oh my God, nostalgia, the Animals of Farthing Wood. And then the rabbit died. I was like, oh my God, why am I watching this? Oh, it's just...
Oh my God, I love this!
I'm a 30-year-old adult. Why am I crying over dead rabbits?
Oh, still, honestly, and also as well, like some sneaky ass characters that are in this fucking show as well. When you think about it, like you mentioned the weasel, the fucking weasel, like the fucking adder steak as well. Like that bitch just wanted to eat everyone. Scarface, that was the name of the wolf, or not the wolf, fox. He was Scarface because, yeah. Oh my God, they were also bullies. Yeah, you had, and also as well. I think it's one of those things. It was always Fox and Scarface, L Weasel, but then everyone else was Mr. Shrew, Mr. Rabbit, Mrs. Rabbit, Mr. Hedgehog, Mrs. Hedgehog, Badger, Moley, Mr. Mouse. Like it's like they were quite proper for woodland creatures. You think about it. I mean, they yeah, good for them. But Jesus Christ, that was one of those ones where I'm like, I actually want to make sure that everyone remembers this for the absolute bloodbath that it was.
it'd be a very good podcast on its own, because like it would fall into that kind of category of like cartoons that make an impression on children for, in a way, kind of the good reasons, because it like had that kind of message in it, whichever means, like, okay, people slag off Captain Planet, for example, for being really ham-fisted over like its environmental message, right? But people still love it because it's how stupid it is. Animals of Farthing Wood got you there through the most visceral means possible. So like, if you're one of the people who like will vividly remember the Animals of Farthing Wood, will you ever go into a wood, you will never touch a woodland creature, because you know, like, listen, I know I'm the bad guy here. I am human. I am fucking ruining everything that you own. You work away. Like, you will, I'm not going to touch anything that you do. So like, it'll be curious to see like what other kind of like cartoons fall into that category of having this like being really effective with its message, and not to the sense of like not being Captain Planet, for example, like batting you over the head of like ozone, hey, yours, or like, you know, it's not that.
Captain Planet.
Yeah, precisely. But with the
I
Animals of
will
Fart,
say this. I will actually just while you're saying that, Captain Planet is one for the conspiracies for the box set.
yes, I do not
Yeah.
discount that at all. But yeah, like it's certainly in that category of like, there's a reason. There's a reason why children were made to watch this, or allowed to watch this, let's say, and it was to for a lesson. It was to learn something, because it got you invested in characters. They killed them off. It made you miss them. So therefore, in real life, you wouldn't fucking hurt a fly. It's a moral
Essentially,
lesson.
it was Game of Thrones for children.
A little bit, but it's a moral lesson
Oh
as
my
well.
god, yes.
That's all it is.
All right. I did a really stupid thing, and I googled animals of Farthing Wood.
Mhm.
6 times the Animals of Farthing Wood traumatized us for life, introducing children to the concept of violent death, introducing the children concept of violent death since 1993. And one of them, like, see, this the thing is, right, so you've got Batman, where Disney, Watership Down's absolute blood-soaked fields
Mm.
that will just forever be etched into my brain as the most traumatic experience of my childhood are there, right? But like, there was 6 of these now about Badger. Now, it's just a thing. Badger dies of old age. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, nothing bad happens to this. He literally just died of old age. He was the wise, comforting father figure that everyone has in, and like, his death is probably one of the roughest that they have in this entire fucking thing, because this is literally a natural part of life. This is something that's going to happen to anybody and everybody.
Relatable.
Hopefully,
It's a death of a grandparent.
and it's
That's
like,
what it is.
like, but like, this thing is like, but like, he dies at home. He dies of old age. It's very harrowing. It's overwhelmed, like young Mole, and then Mozzie pretends to be dad just for like the senile Badger's benefit as well. It's like, he's literally, he thinks he's and this, and it's fucking heartbreaking. And then you have the fucking Badgers who are run over in like episode 10. Like, they're literally trying to get to White Deer Park. That's what they're getting to. They want to get to White Deer Park because it is basically the sanctuary that is there. That's going to be their home for the rest of the thing. And they're forced to cross like a busy motorway. And Mr. Hedgehog, as you can totally relate to, he's a little bit reluctant about actually going back. And then instead of leaving him behind, his wife, Mrs. Hedgehog, goes back. And she's like, literally, they tell each other, whatever you do, just don't curl into a ball. And what happens? They literally freak so much. It's so scared that they crawl into a ball, and then a fucking lorry just barrels straight through them. I
feel like we've unearthed 2 different types of childhood trauma here. Like, I think the box set is now therapy, and we just happen to be the accidental psychologists.
The sweet pheasant couple. Oh, okay, right. So the first of many grisly deaths to come. First of many. That's actually what it says. The pheasant couple meet their untimely end early on the journey. The 3 series long journey. When the group decided to take rest on some farmland, it was a horrific mood because Mrs. Pheasant was shot down first by a farmer and then soon followed by her starred husband.
I think she's frozen again.
Or maybe she's just I can't tell if her is frozen or Zoom has just decided, no, lads, this is too much for one show.
No more nostalgia. No,
Please
no
stop
more
killing
heart.
everything else we loved.
So I got a chance to kill both Mrs. Pheasant before I cut off.
Yes.
Okay, I think it's gonna cut off again. Oh Jesus, lads, it's not getting any better. There's only 3 left to do. All right. The baby mice that get impaled. Okay, this is actually a legit thing, though. Okay, there is actually a bird that does this. It kills its prey by literally impaling it on sharp objects that are around it, and yeah. That was the adorable baby, sweet baby mice. That's how they meet their maker, by literally getting caught up by Shriek, Shrike,
Chirac.
Shriek. That's basically the bird that lifts you up and stabs you and kills you that way.
So I'm reading.
I can't remember what this.
I'm reading up on the show, and basically, like, with 3 seasons, the first season is about them getting to the White Deer Park, which is a nature reserve where they'll be protected. The second and third series focus on the relationships between the animals of Fardenwood and with the animals of White Deer Park, which is where we're introduced to the likes of Scarface and his partner and cub. So
yes.
Yeah.
The fifth. Sorry, I'm just talking about the animals. I'm sorry.
You're talking about the animals, yeah.
Sinus is choked to death by rock. Which I'm not really sure of the logistics of this entire scene, but Jesus, this is fucking brutal, because this is literally where this is like her mate. She literally just cries. Remember, she curls up next to him and cries because literally he choked on his dinner. Which I mean, like, you think at this point she would have been used to that, though. I mean, like, she's seen everyone else die. I mean, why not?
True.
And then probably one of the other saddest one, Bold finally makes a home and immediately dies. Bold was he was one of the cubs for Fox and Nixon. She was one of the red foxes. She was one of the cubs. So have killing a child in any circumstances remains somewhat controversial on television even now. When the child is a major character in the protagonist, it's almost unthinkable. But like an animated George or Martin, the animals of Farthingwood had no qualms about offering Bold, Fox and Vixen's adorable, brave cub in Series 2 finale, because death comes for us all kids, even you. I just love it's like an animated George or Martin.
At least the one takeaway you could have of all this is that there's absolutely no rose-tinted glasses you could have for the animals of Farting Wood. You're going to remember it.
God,
like,
no.
Like, this is the thing.
To remember it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like,
bloodshed.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, again, if there is a connective tissue to this show, that's what it is. It's like, this is the range that those type of glasses can give you. It can make a really bad show seem good because you didn't know any better when you were 4. But with the Animals of Farting Wood, like, objectively, that has made an impression of you, and it's still there. You may have buried it under tons of adolescence and adulthood, but it's still fucking there. If you keep digging, you'll find it. And that just kind of proves it.
I think this is a thing. It's like, I think there's a really good. I'm starting to notice a trend here as to why our entire generation is anxiety driven and or depressed. And I think the Animals of Farting Wood might be responsible for that.
It's realism. It's like realizing the world is shit and people die and people will live and just getting on with it. Really, like there's a lot of points in that.
Do you know what? This is the thing that I've actually noticed as well. I have no qualms when people die in TV shows. Granted, I'll be a little bit upset if like my favorite character dies, but if it's Dean fucking Winchester, he's coming back in the next series, so it's okay. Yeah. I'm over it. When you fucking kill an animal or a dog in a movie and stuff
that just
hits harder.
Right? There's a website that you can actually go on that literally will tell you if a dog dies, does the dog die? Is I think is the website, and it will give you a
Yes.
list of movies that have dogs in it, so you know to avoid it because if it like has a dog death in it, and I use that religiously when I was like watching movies, if it turned on Sky or something like that, I used to go to that website constantly because I got fucked over in I Am Legend.
No word of a lie. I find that a serious pet peeve of mine in certain like games and shows that do that, because I think it's a bit of a shortcut to make you feel something. Like the second season of The Walking Dead, which is generally considered to be so much worse than the first game. I'm talking, sorry, the Telltale version, not the show. The first one is brilliant and it brings you on an emotional roller coaster between two characters. The second one is when one of those characters is now on her own. In order to get you to remember that she lives in such a cruel, unforgiving world, she befriends a dog like half an hour in, and then 10 minutes later, the dog turns on her and tries to kill her, and she has to kill the dog. And it's like, yeah, that's just fucking cheating. That is like, okay, we get it. It's a cruel world. I'm not like you can. And I think what was The Last of Us 2, I think it was, has done this as well, where like there's a feral dog and you have to kill it. It's like you have to kill it. You can't do anything else. Like maybe I don't want to. Maybe I don't. Maybe there's a way around it. You can't just force me to kill a dog just so you can make your world feel somewhat more unforgiving. But that says a lot about that game, to be honest. It's a bit of a bullshit. But yeah, like I've always found that to be a shortcut, really. A very cheap, like pointless, like the world is evil. We must kill animals. Like fuck off. Do better, lads. That's just shit. That's just shit writing.
Definitely.
And that brings us back to Bikers Mice from Mars, because that is one of the most poorly written episodes I've ever seen in my life.
So yeah, so this episode of the box set was for the nostalgia point of view of like stuff you remember with high regard, and then when you watch it back, or if you watch it for the first time, it's literally everything is different through rose tinted glasses, obviously. Then it's just kind of off because I really wanted to talk about the animals of Garden Wood, which reminded me of it. And I thought, fuck it, I'll throw it in with the nostalgia look. I'll see how that plans out. And now I'm really sad. And I hope you're sad with me too. Actually, I will actually point this out. You can probably one of the greatest things that I did is the theme song for The Animals of Garden Wood, because it's so uplifting.
Yeah.
Just listen to that and then turn it off.
Exactly.
That's all you need to know the show. Okay.
Well, will that not serve as a mental trigger? Like when you hear the theme, you realize, oh wow, this does not match the show theme at all.
Do you know what? It really fucking doesn't. It really fucking doesn't. All right. Yeah. It's far too upbeat, and I think that's what trails you in. It's like fucking Rosie and Jim. It's the theme song gets you in, and then you start watching it. You're like, oh my god, this is no wonder I'm terrified of dolls. Like this is a legit thing.
That's it.
But yeah, that's the nostalgia view on it. But next episode, Jonathan's actually already mentioned what the next episode is going to be.
Oh shit!
Next episode, we're going to have Jerry on for our next episode, because we're going to go to the good nostalgia, the one that we actually remembered, that we actually like, that we still watch, even though Michael May tried to ruin it, or not Michael May. Even though Michael Mann tried to ruin it for us.
Michael May, god damn him, he fucking hates those turtles.
Yeah, so we're going to get Jerry on. We're going to be able to get Jerry on this one, and we are going to discuss the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, depending on where you were in the world when it was released in your hemisphere. And we're going to discuss that one as well. So yeah, and then episode 5, we will be going back then to our conspiracy mashups on that one, and that will be Captain Planet and the Magic School Bus even. Magic Bus, I'm nearly sure was a song from The Who. Excellent tune. I suggest you listen to it after this. Yeah, so I'm going to discuss the conspiracy theory that people have found out between these two seemingly unrelated shows, which I think is very cool. I like it.
Interesting.
It's a fun one.
Yeah,
so,
I like that.
I have been Amy. That has been Foxy. That had been Jonathan. I hope you now feel just as depressed as I do. We will see you next time.
Life is pain, everybody. Life is pain.
Everything dies.
Especially Badger. Badger will always die.
Everybody dies.
Yes.